I've been in the lab, and while in there, I handcrafted the perfect build that embodies what it truly feels like to be a solar titan. And I'm going to show you my creation today. But you have to promise me you're going to use this, because it's probably my favorite build I've made this season. And in case you couldn't tell by the thumbnail or the title, this is a precious scar build that takes advantage of Tommy's matchbook. Anyways, enough of the jibber jabber, let's take a look at this build. Tommy's matchbook is this super cool drum gun that you probably tried using this season with all the amazing seasonal solar mods, and then you got tired of dying while using it, so you just never picked it up again. Because the exact same thing happened to me. But after using it to rank in my newest video, that you should totally check out, I realized this gun has so many perfect synergies with solar and precious scars that it's not only viable, but a top tier build. In case you didn't know, Tommy's matchbook is a solar auto rifle that can overheat. And while overheating, it will cause your gun to deal double damage, but burns you in the process. And if you want to mitigate some of that damage, you can take advantage of the perk heatsink, which makes it so you take less damage while hip firing. So basically just spray this thing like a 1940s mobster. And to mitigate even more damage, we're going to take advantage of our recently buffed exotic Precious Scars. In case you haven't seen, Precious Scars is pretty fucking good right now. It still gives that 100 health overshield when resing teammates, but now instead of that short healing burst, it provides +1 restoration for you and nearby allies when you get a kill with a weapon matching your subclass. And getting that restoration is so much better than the previous heal, because it can be applied over and over again, and with this build, you can stack it up to 12 seconds of restoration for you and your teammates. We should probably go over the subclass build and talk about what we're going to be using here to become as strong and as invincible as possible. Obviously, we're going with solar. It is by far the best class this season, and it pairs extremely well with Precious Scars for the restoration, and it allows us to match Tommy's matchbook. Now for our abilities. For our melee, we're going to be going with Throwing Hammer, which will help us trigger one of our fragments from a range and give us a decent chunk of damage. Next, for grenade, you're going to want to use Healing Grenade. I know it's a little unconventional as a Titan to want to heal yourself instead of dealing damage, but adding another way to apply restoration to yourself and allies is going to fit perfectly in this build. Our first aspect is going to be Roaring Flames, which makes it so when we get final blows with our solar abilities or ignitions, it increases the damage of our abilities. And well, our only damaging ability is our hammer, but increasing the damage on that as much as possible is always going to be good. And our next fragment is Soul Invictus, which will make our solar ability Final Blows and Final Blows against scorched targets create a sunspot. These sunspots will make your abilities regenerate faster, your super drain slower, and apply restoration to you when you stand in it. Yeah, using Soul Invictus is pretty self-explanatory. It's another way to scorch and another way to gain restoration. Okay, let's cover our fragments. First, we're going to use Emperor of Empyrean, which makes solar weapon and ability Final Blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects. So pretty much every single one of our Final Blows can extend radiant and restoration by 4 seconds, up to 12. Yeah, I could have just said that instead of reading the fragment, my bad. Next we have Ember of Torches, which will allow our Throwing Hammer to apply radiant upon us, which will help us take down barrier champions and give us 25% extra damage across the entire board. Thirdly, we're going to be using Ember of Ashes to apply more Scorch, which will help Tommy's matchbook trigger ignitions even more. And finally, we're going with Ember of Solace, which will increase the duration of radiant and restoration applied to you by 50%. So I'm sure you can tell, we're aiming for a 100% uptime on our radiant and restoration. With all of these in play, every single kill with Tommy's will grant us 6 seconds of both of these, allowing us to have constant healing and even more damage. And then anytime you lose one of these buffs, you can either get a Tommy's kill or throw your hammer to reproc and get back in business. Time for everyone's favorite part, armor mods. I'm gonna go over these super quickly, so let's go ahead and lock in. Helmet mods. First, Harmonic Siphon, so Tommy's creates orbs, and then a Heavy Ammo Finder, so we can get increased heavy ammo, because I love Apex Predator, she stays hungry. Arm mods. First we have Grenade Kickstart to get our healing grenade back faster, and then Heavy Handed to create an orb on a Throwing Hammer kill. Chest mods. Charged Up to gain another armor charge, which will help us with our Kickstart, and then any 2 resistant mods that match your activity. On our legs, we're going to go with Recuperation for health, Innervation for grenade energy, and Better Already to immediately start regenerating health. And of course, all those are from picking up orbs. And then finally, on our skirt, we have 2 bombers for the grenade energy, and lastly, Powerful Attraction to grab nearby orbs when you need to play safe. Okay, and then to wrap everything up, we just need to cover some of these staple seasonal mods that make this build so much better than it already is. So let's go ahead and cover those. In the second column, we're using Kindling Trigger, so while radiant, our solar weapons apply Scorch to unscorched targets. In the third column, we're going with Flint Striker, so rapid solar precision hits and Final Blows make you radiant. Oh, you can also run Torch, so if anyone in your party is using Stasis or Strand, you deal a little bit more damage. And then in the fourth column, we're running Revitalizing Blast, so your solar abilities weaken champions and bosses. And to top it all off, we're using Ray of Sunshine in the fifth column, so while radiant, Solar Precision Final Blows ignite combatants. And that's all. That's absolutely everything you need for this build to thrive. It doesn't require any crazy setup, and you'll have nearly 100% uptime on Radiant and Restoration, while melting every single enemy. See ya!